So this is the different positions of the Greytonian army, and we're going to get into details. So first off, we're going to start with this guy. This guy is the leader, and he is the Chancellor. Chancellor is the supreme leader and ruler of this nation, and he's in charge of the military, the civilians, and the nation's government and welfare. So this is our Chancellor, and we're going to put him here because he's done. And then over here, we're going to go with this guy. Now, this guy you may think is a general, but actually he's not a general. He is a major, and we use him as the majors are in charge with troops on the field at the HQ bases, and they are basically responsible for Greytons, victories, soldiers, and infantry. So basically these guys are in charge of the Greytonian infantry. Next we have this guy, and this guy is a tank commander, and he is in charge of the armor, and his job is to command and to lead the armor units in battle. Next we have this guy, and this guy is a general, and he is in charge. He delivers orders from the Chancellor. The Chancellor gives the orders to the general. The general gives the orders to the major, and the major control gives the orders to this, well, majors, and then colonels. So I mean generals, then colonels. So he's in charge of delivering the orders to the colonel. The colonel gives the word to the major and the tank commander to begin their assaults. So these guys have a little system, and this is the colonel. Now I know he doesn't look gray, but to me he's a tannish gray, so he'll count. So these are what these two are. We have the colonel and we have the general. Well, we have the colonel, no, general, and then the colonel. So this is what these two represent, and these are going to go over here. Now we're into the infantry. Now we're going to start off with this guy. This guy is a soldier, and his task is to scout and retrieve soldiers that are injured. So basically he is a battlefield medic slash scout, and that's what is his job. And the ranks can vary from private to captain, or captain to corporal, depending on the rank they did or do. And there's a piece of hair on him, and this is what the battlefield medic and scout looks like. Next we have the message runner. His task is to deliver messages just in case if radio lines are not functionable or they don't work, and he is armed with a semi-automatic rifle. And his job is to deliver the message by running to the next base or the next trench or HQ and deliver the message vocally, or to hand him a piece of paper, and he will deliver the piece of paper to the commanding officer of that division and tell them to hold, stay, or basically follow a command given to the main headquarters. And this is what this guy's job is. Next we have this guy. Now this guy has a machine gun and a ammo belt. He is not in combat, sadly, but I use him as a ammo carrier and supply runner. His job is to carry the ammo, give the ammo to the soldiers that are needing it, and to also make count of supplies that they need for their troops, such as food, water, medic supplies, and stuff like that. Alright guys, I was going to be interrupted. Thought I was going to be interrupted for a bit, but that was just a dog, and I had to bring her in. So next we're going with this guy. Now there are 3 machine gunners, so I'm going to pull them out, we have these three. Now, we can tell that now we got two of them that look similar, but I'll explain what the difference is. Here we have the light MG, which is modeled after with a machine gun with a magazine that you inject from the top, and this is easily to carry and to be portable in battle, which these are the first actual modern machine guns that they used to use. And then we will have the next model, which will be the medium heavy machine guns, which is modeled after the 50 cal, but they turn it down to a 30 cal, and they use 30 caliber, which is also easy to carry, but it also results in a two-man team where they have to have the ammo carrier, and also the ammo carrier's job is to help the medium and heavy MGs set up and get reloaded during battle. So that's what this guy is. And then of course the last we have the heavy machine gun, which is the 50 cal. And these guys weapons are very heavy, and it would take jeeps, trucks, or a team of 6 to carry this weapon because it's heavy. And this weapon can penetrate through any type of soldier, but it cannot penetrate any kind of tank unless it's a light tank or an APC. But this guy is armed to the teeth and is very fierce in battle. And these are the main thing that they have. These two will be most commonly used in overseas battles, while these will be used for home defense. So that's the machine guns. And now we're moving on to the chargers, and I will show you what I mean by chargers. We have this guy, and we have, hold on, this guy and this guy. Now you must be asking, what's the difference between these chargers? Well, you see, this guy is charging in battle, and usually he would have a bayonet on his rifle, and he would only do this if he was out of ammo and if he was ordered to do the charge. So he would be on the field charging. This guy I call the ambushers, and their job is to be hidden in battle, and when their enemy is near, and if they don't have any ammo or are tasked with trying to lower the numbers of their enemies, they will be hidden from enemy sight, and when the enemy is in there, bam, ambush them. And they are called ambushers, and they're well-skilled unit. And then we have this guy, and this guy is a charger, but as you can see, he is running with a rifle in his hand, and this guy can be used as can function in two ways. He can charge and fight as many as he can, man to man, or he can shoot and charge at the same time. So these I call multifunction charger. This guy I call a multifunction charger, and that's what his task is in battle. So these are the chargers. Now we're moving on to the guards, and there's two types of guards, and I will show you and tell you as well. This guy with a rifle with a pig-style bayonet, he is the guard for the Chancellor. He is the leader's personal bodyguard, and his job is to guard the Chancellor wherever he goes and and to protect him from terrorists and bad guys from different countries. And sometimes he would even be on the battlefield. If the Chancellor ever goes to the battlefield, the guard has to go with him on the battlefield. So he will be there on the battlefield. This guy to his left, who's pinkish green or pinkish gray, is a base guard or a military policeman, because his job is to guard HQs, supply rooms, and stuff like that, and even Capitol buildings. But when he's on the battlefield, he's also the military police. He's in charge of making sure the soldiers don't desert in the middle of combat. He makes sure that the enemy doesn't try to sneak into the bases, and also is required to gain information from their own men, because sometimes men would lie and sneak into the bases. So he would be tasked with making sure that no enemy crosses their headquarters, base, or defense lines without gaining any information from them, and to determine whether they are on their side or not. So that's what his job is. And these are the guards. So now we're moving on to the snipers. And we have two snipers. We have the ambush sniper and the anti-tank sniper. Now, I think I'm also missing one, so let me go check real quick. Nope. Turns out that's off. And the anti-tank sniper. Now, the ambush sniper is also the common sniper. These guys are tasked with sniping enemies in certain targets. The anti-tank sniper, however, has a different weapon. It's the same rifle model, but this weapon here is used to destroy tanks and armored vehicles with a penetrating, armor-piercing 60 caliber round. And he is tasked to destroy tanks and enemy vehicles. But this guy is tasked to shoot and eliminate certain targets like commanding officers, wanted war criminals, or enemies trying to counterattack, and other snipers. So that's what these two are tasked with. And now we're moving on to the assault weapons, and we have about 4 different versions. We have this one, which is the M16 model, and these guys are the first model of the assault, or the second model of the assault weapon. Then second model of assault weapons and infantry for assaults. And this guy is the first model of the assault weapons, as he's carrying a Bren gun. But these guys are the first models. These guys came second. Then next we have the third, which they have a AR-15 kind of style weapon, or Scar H, and they use that as the next weapon. And then the M83, which is their final assault weapon. These are the most common weapons that they would use for some soldiers of the infantry, but this is not as depended on as the actual weapons that they had. So these are our assault riflemen, and they're going to go over here. We have the actual riflemen, and we have 2 models. Here, actually three. We got 2 semi-automatic rifles, and we have 1 bolt action. The bolt action rifles were used during their existence, and were the main rifles that they were primarily used in their army. But then they developed new technologies and developed the semi-automatic rifle, which can shoot multiple rounds and is clip fed, then having to have a magazine and single-handedly shoot and pick off targets one by one, and reloading the bolt every time. So this is what these guys are. Now we're going on with the sappers and mine detectors. His job is to clear obstacles such as trees, bushes, rocks, and anything with mines, explosives, and stuff like that, to get it out of the way for the infantry to cross and to maneuver, and to make sure they are traveling safely and not trying to cause too many casualties. He is also tasked as a mechanic, so he can repair damaged vehicles, trucks, tanks, and stuff like that. So basically, he's part engineer, part sapper, and part mine detector, and he does his job well. Next, we have the radioman, and there are two types of radiomen. We have the base radioman, as you can tell, since he's on his knee and he's talking on the phone, on the radio. And we have the battlefield radio, which is lighter and portable. And these soldiers can move quickly without being stuck and being shot by their enemies. So they're both tasked with the same thing: communications and getting orders from different bases with the radio lines, and to continue and report assaults, report their progresses on assaults, and reporting in on the commanding officer how many men they lost or were missing. So that's what their job is. Next, we'll have the MPs, and MPs stands for machine pistols. This is the first model that they had, and this is the second model, which is more modern. This one is fed with 9 caliber magazines, while this one is up to 10 caliber, and it uses a long magazine up to fit 20 bullets, while this one fits only 30. So, and they both have ammunition for it. So this is what they do. Well, basically they had. Next, we're going on with the flamethrower. Now, the flamethrower has been around for generations, and they were first used during the first plastic World War plastic, and they have been a common weapon for the other nations ever since. And the first one to actually create it was Greyton, and other nations got the same model and different design, but different designs. And Greyton inspired each nation to have their own flamethrower, except for Bulgarians and Blutopians, because they hate making weapons of their enemies, and they like to make their own weapons, so they did not approve of the flamethrower, which is an interesting fact that you guys should know. Next, we have this guy is a signalman. He's in charge with signaling enemy positions and artillery and air support where the bomb, hit, strike, and attack. Because he has 2 guns. He has his M16, which he's not in combat. He's not in combat, but he's used on the battlefield to team up with a scout. And he has this pistol, which I know it's a pistol, but I use it as a flare gun. And he signals his platoon where the enemy is located and where to strike an artillery bombardment or an air raid. So he is a common useful guy, even though he doesn't look like it, he is useful. Next, we have the rocket launchers, which are the Stinger, which is a big, massive cannon that can penetrate tanks, vehicles, and planes with a missile guider. And over here is a regular bazooka, which you launch with shells, and it takes 2 hits to destroy a heavy tank, 1 shot with a light tank, and 2 shots with a medium heavy tank, and 3 shots with a very heavy tank. These bazookas are still in use, but most of them require the Stinger, which can destroy anything with a missile guidance. So that's what these weapons guys have. And then we have the lookout / spotter. He is tasked to overwatch the field of the battle and to spot enemy positions as well if they didn't have a flare guy. And he is also tasked to give orders to the artillery when to fire and where to fire based on giving coordinates and location. And he is also tasked with spying the enemy positions to see what they're up to. And he will report it to his commanding officer, and they will find a way to counterattack or plan a defensive plan or offensive plan against their enemy. So that's what his job is. I know that this is long, guys, but I hope that this is making you interested more. So next, we have the Grenadier. Now, the Grenadier is a common soldier. He has explosives, and his job is to also hook up mines, explosives, and to throw explosives in battle too. So that's what his job is, and he is good with it. He's trained to know explosives of different kinds, and he knows how to disable and arm each type of explosive. And lastly, we have the mortar. The mortar is a light cannon that is used for these army to help destroy enemy tanks and vehicles as well during ambushes. So this is what they're tasked to do, and they are good at it. Alright guys, sorry about that. That was the house phone. So that is the Greytonian army tour, and stay tuned for announcements because here they come. So for today's announcements, I'm going to say this. Let me step back. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I know you guys have been looking forward to it. And I'm going to be having a poll posted later asking which nation you want to tour next. And also, do you guys want me to do Face of Philiddian history, since this is my recent nation's history, and we can just break down Face of Philiddian's history and talk about it. And that's up to y'all, so thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time.